I'm proud in that Parliament that I've been part of a government that has legislated for equal marriage in our country. That has made Scotland a better country as a consequence of that legislation.
I disagree. I don't think same-sex marriage was a good thing. I think it's undermined and relativised the ideal of natural family life. It's equalised same-sex relationships, whereas in many ways they're actually not equal. And for one thing, they're obviously infertile. Therefore, same-sex couples, if they want children, they're producing fatherless or motherless children. Because the stability of same-sex relationships, they basically tend to be very, very unstable. People who enter into same-sex relationships, mental health, physical health, addiction, problems tend to ensue. So the idea that promoting same-sex marriage has made Scotland better, I don't think so.
I'm proud to be the Education Minister that authorised inclusive education in our schools to make sure that young people have access to inclusive education, because it is so vital that young people have the knowledge and the understanding of all that is around them and who they are and how they feel.
LGBT inclusive education. So before I talk about that, let's just note John Swinney's ability to speak in a stream of government babble. It's quite remarkable. It's just a collage of standard lines. But LGBT inclusive education, let's remember, was opposed by not a single MSP in the Scottish Parliament, let alone a party. It was introduced about, 6 years ago now. And the policy said that there would be LGBT content in every subject at every level, from nursery all the way through the education system. The Scottish Conservatives, they oppose it? No. The fact that it was transgender education from nursery upwards, do the Scottish Conservatives say this is not right? No, not at all. They just went along with it completely. How about the Reform Party now? They might say, they're not too keen on the T bit. The LGB bit, would they have any problem with that? Well, there's no sign of that.
But above all else, I'm proud to have been part of a Parliament and a government that has made it clear that love is love in our society. This is a country where we believe that love is love and nothing will stop us in that view.
Love is love. That's an LGBT campaigner's favourite phrase. It is taught in schools in Scotland as a fact. And what does it mean? Well, what people mean by it is homosexual relationships are morally acceptable. And John Swinney says that's what we believe in our society. Now, what's going to follow next is an interview with John Swinney. The sound's not great, so I'll just explain what happens to make sure you get the point. So the interviewer says, John Swinney, you were just saying love is love. Does your Deputy First Minister, Kate Forbes, agree with you?
You said repeatedly, actually said love is love and it doesn't matter who you love. Does your Deputy First Minister believe that?
Yes.
Yes.
So John Swinney confidently asserts that Kate Forbes does think that homosexual relationships are morally acceptable. Now, why does he do that? I suspect it's because that is exactly what she has said publicly. Now, some Catholics think the Pope says things that are not in line with Catholic teaching. And when he does, there's some other Catholics who will say, he didn't really mean that. It was taken out of context. It was mistranslated. People are misinterpreting it. And these people that get called Pope-splainers, it's quite a funny term. I think in Scotland, there's a group of people I would call Kate-splainers as well, that when Kate Forbes says something that's just the opposite of traditional Christian teaching, Kate-splainers will say, she didn't really mean that. It's out of context. Once we got past them denying that she'd ever said it in the first place. But all I'm trying to do here is to make sure you're aware of the facts. So that's what Kate said. That's what John Swinney was saying there.
To take forward the rights of the LGBT community in Scotland, to ensure that we deliver the changes that you wish to see.
How about that? John Swinney saying to the LGBT community, in other words, campaigners, just tell us what you want us to do. We will do whatever you want. So the Scottish Government pays LGBT campaigning groups, then says to them, just tell us what to do next. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine being in such a movement where the government pays you to tell them what to do? It's just a totally other world than the one I live in, that is for sure. Now, perhaps through this video, you've been playing Scottish Government babble buzzword bingo. And maybe there's one or two gaps on your card, but I guarantee you this last section from John Swinney will enable you to get them all filled in.
And that we create a Scotland that is fair, inclusive, and brings together everybody in our society to make this country the happy, loving place it has to be.
Has the promotion of LGBT identities led to an increase in happiness in Scotland? People who opt for LGBT identities, do their lives work out really well in general from then on? Well, there's good reason to have severe reservations about that. And someone needs to say it, someone needs to talk about it. And that's what we will do. All right, thanks for watching.